this. Woo! Put Scooter on the phone, you bird brain.
What do you do, backflips? You jump up there in a silly suit? What do you do?
You go BAM! I want you to play that.
Get her done. Hey, let's get her done. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Fast Freddie here, ready to kick things into gear. It is Tuesday afternoon. We are at the Youngstown studios in beautiful downtown Youngstown, Ohio. And a pretty nice day. It started out a little chilly today, but I'll tell you, springtime is right around the corner. St. Patty's Day tomorrow. And, you know, there's always a chance of getting a blizzard on St. Patty's Day. St. Patty's Day could be 70 degrees or a blizzard.
Yeah,
you know, there's a chance we'll have one more blizzard before it's all said and done.
I didn't put the snowblower away. That was official.
We usually have one. And for a while there, it seemed like every St. Patty's Day we were having a blizzard. But anyways, we are ready to rock the house here this afternoon. We're ready to get the festivities started. Before we get things started, though, I did want to talk a little bit about this. Warren family needs some help. I saw this in the Trib today. Or maybe it was Sunday. And a 9-year-old Krista Monsman, Monsman, she's a third grader at Warren's Lincoln School, and she's been forced to stay inside of her house except to attend therapy and doctor's appointments. She has some kind of medical problems, and she can't walk. And she's in a wheelchair, but she's getting too big, and her parents are having a hard time like picking her up and putting her in a car and that sort of thing. So they're starting a fundraiser to buy her a van because she's to that point now where it's just impossible for the parents to carry this little girl around. And coming up, they have they're doing a fundraiser where they will fill plastic eggs with candy and put them in your yard on Easter for your kids for a fee. And they're also raffling off a fishing charter, and they're also planning on having a poker run coming up in May. And they also have a GoFundMe account. So if you could help this little girl out, I think it'd be really great. You know, family's struggling as it is, and then you put another problem on top of that. Anyways, her name is Krista Monsman, Monsman. I'll post that on my Facebook page or something.
Yeah, we'll save it back under this post too. We'll follow the link down below.
Right. Yeah, we'll do that so we could help out this little girl and her family. They could definitely use some help, and you know, they just need a handicapped accessible van because she's just getting bigger, and it's really tough on the family.
And this area always comes through under these things. Always comes through.
So I'm sure that you know, if everybody pitches in, we could make that happen. We can get her done.
That's it.
Let's see. Tomorrow, St. Patty's Day, baby. St. Patty's Day tomorrow, and I will be at Magic Tree in Boardman on South Avenue. I'll get things going there around 4 o'clock. They'll be going all day, but they're not going all out like they normally do. And next year, it's going to be through the roof. And it's hard to believe that it's been exactly 1 year since everything shut down. And last year, I was at Magic Tree, and we were getting ready. You know, we had the big week planned, big, huge week, you know, especially with them being in Boardman on South Avenue. After the parade, it's like one of the places where everybody goes. And, you know, they had all the big tents set up. They had the beer trailers out there. They had a ton of bands booked. Like, it was going to be for like almost a whole week. I think it was going to go from Thursday to Monday or Tuesday. And it's just going to be this whole week long shenanigans, malarkey, Donnie Brooks, the whole 9 yards, you know. And it turned out that that's when everything shut down. And boy, that was really a bummer, man. And I still remember this because, you know, they said, okay, Governor DeWine is going to make an announcement here. So the whole crew was in the back room, you know, to watch this on TV. The owner, Rudy, and, you know, everybody from the bus boys to the waitresses to the cooks, everybody's in this back room. And DeWine says, at 9 o'clock tonight, we are shutting everything down indefinitely. And it was like everybody just got punched in the stomach, and the air just sucked out of the room. So it's been a long year, and I know Rudy wants to take it. He wants to be on the safe side, and you know, it's not going to be like 100 bands or anything. It's just going to be me. But well, I mean, do you really need anything more?
You don't.
Honestly, I mean, okay, that's all. You got me. You got
can carry
me.
The show,
right? So you really don't need all that other stuff. Why do you need 10 bands and this and that when you have me there?
Right.
So anyways, it's still going to be a good time, but you know, they're still social distancing and they're being careful because even though things seem to be getting better, nobody wants to get busted. I mean, some places are pushing the envelope, but other places are like, look, we'll ride it out here. We waited this long. We'll keep it cool. Yep. And then instead of getting busted, then we lose all the money we made anyways on that day. So, but it's still going to be a good time. 4:00, Magic Tree. We'll go 4 to 10. And, we'll be sham rocking and rolling as we.
Nice.
That's the oldest cliche of St. Patty's Day. For all those kind of things, for all those years of writing commercials and stuff, I know every single.
You did one earlier too, so it happens naturally. Like
right.
By the way, Joseph Monosky said, "I see you're sticking to your own time schedule on Facebook."
Even though, well, they changed the clock, right?
You're early,
right?
You're actually early.
Yeah, they changed the clock, and instead of 3:00, I started 3:15. Yeah. That's how we changed the clock a little bit.
That's how that works.
My buddy Gary Z come up with an idea, and he said, when they changed the time, instead of changing it at 2:00 on like Saturday morning, why not do it at like 2:00 on Monday afternoon?
Yes.
And then this way you spring ahead on Monday afternoon and you go home an hour early.
That's it.
And then you feel good. Then you don't have to adjust your body. You come to work Monday morning. Okay, time change, 3:00. It's 4:00. Everybody's done.
Well,
See you
I'll
tomorrow.
tell you, I was working a job one time in the middle of a time change, and everybody wanted to know if that was a possibility, if we could leave early. And we're like, no, don't set your clocks ahead until you get home. And I was like, shit.
Usually the time change in the bars, when we used to go till 2:30, that always used to be a big day because it was usually Halloween weekend, and then we would stay an extra hour. So you'd be there from, till 3:30, which was really cool if the place was jamming. Another hour. Yeah, we could drink another hour. I don't see too many people out there doing that anymore. That's how times have changed. We're in the new normal with, people like start yawning at 10, 11.
Yep, right. And now it's going to be hard to condition them back to stay up later.
I think so. I think it really is. I don't think you're going to see days of bars at closing time. People yell, "One more drink, man. Give me another drink." And that was a big deal, man. You got that extra hour of drinking. Oh, we get to stay an extra hour. Now it's like,
right.
You don't see that anymore.
You want to introduce the red box here?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk a little bit here about the red box, and then we'll get back to St. Patty's Day. But once again, tomorrow, Magic Tree, South Avenue, Boardman. My man, Rudy, boy, you want to talk about corned beef and everything? He does the best.
Sweet.
And we will be drinking Irish car bombs. That is my favorite drink.
I don't even know what it is.
I love Irish car bombs. And I was thinking, damn, we should have had some Irish car bombs here today.
Does it involve Jaeger?
No
green
Jaeger.
Beer?
Not even green beer, but
really?
Even better. This is my favorite St. Patty's Day drink. I always look forward to St. Patty's Day. And I don't know why I don't drink these any other day besides St. Patty's Day, but I always look forward to it on St. Patty's Day. You need Bailey's, Jameson, and a mug of Guinness. Okay. So what you do is you get a shot glass and you put some Bailey's on the bottom. About a half a shot of Bailey's, or you could do these like a double and do a shot of each,
Right.
So you do like, a half a shot of Bailey's, and then on top of that, you layer on a half a shot of Jameson, and then you got like 2/3 of a mug of Guinness, and then you drop the shot in there, boom, and you pound it down.
Nice.
That's one of my favorites. You get the Jameson for the kick, for the whiskey. You get the Baileys with the little,
sweet,
sweet taste, and then you got the Guinness. It's like it's such a great drink. I should have made some here today, but a little later on, I held off because a little later on the show, our guest is going to be Father Jimmy Drucker. And he's about 78 years old, and he was a DJ, and he was a record producer, and he was a talent scout, and he's friends with Bobby Rydell. If some of your grandparents might know Bobby Rydell, and he was involved in that whole like Philly scene and radio and stuff back in the 60s, and just his email address is the Crazy Priest. So it's going to be interesting.
Yes, it is.
Boy, I got to fix my hair here. I could never kind of look like a Dr. Seuss character with my hair sticking out like that. But you know what? See, I never know what side to grab because I look at the screen
And it's opposite.
And it's opposite. And it's like,
Yeah, it's like when
okay,
you tell
there it
someone
is.
they got smudge on their cheek and they always go for the other cheek. It's sort of like
it's
that.
like, okay, something along those lines. But anyways, yeah,
You look
screw it.
good.
Who cares? But anywho, yeah, he'll be here a little later, and he's got a ton of great stories, and he's just a crazy man.
I think I got an effect loaded up for him. Yeah, the blue one.
Oh, there you go. The outer space little UFO thing.
Yep.
Well, I don't know though. We might have to use the harp on him because
He might invoke some of our keywords.
Well, I don't think he's going to invoke the keywords. You know, the keywords on this show, of course, just about every show you have to mention Left End, Boots Bell, Idora Park, the Tomorrow Club, and what else? Who else do we usually include in there? Boots Bell, Left End, Tomorrow Club.
So beautiful.
You know, and then whenever we mention one of those,
The harp comes out.
The harp comes out.
Yeah.
But Thursday, we will definitely get them all in because coming up on Thursday, we got a really good show on Thursday. Thursday, Jerry Sanafani is coming back,
Right.
guitar player extraordinaire from all those different bands with Brotherhood and the House Band, and sits in with our DNA from time to time. So we got Jerry coming in again, and he's bringing with him Tom Faginski from Left End, and they're both bringing guitars, and he's bringing Dave Ditzler along with him too.
Sweet, that should be cool.
And Dave is going to be talking about, not politics, but he's going to be talking about his days as the owner of the arcade and the rock club that it was. Like after the Tomorrow Club faded away, the arcade took over, and that was the big rock club. And it used to be right on Fifth Avenue where the McDonald's is now. And probably one of the biggest claims to fame there was when Huey Lewis and the News played. That's one of the shows that everybody, if you talk about the arcade, everybody remembers, oh yeah, man, Huey Lewis and the News was there. But they had that place going 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week with bands, and it was always packed. And a lot of people got a lot of good memories about the arcade. So, with Tommy and Jerry bringing their guitars, and it's going to be a good show.
Sweet.
I'm really pumped for Thursday. But now we're just waiting on the rock and roll priest, Father Jimmy, to get here and talk about some of his stuff. Now, the red box we have here. Oh, I don't know if I hurt my back or I got a kidney stone. I still haven't got that checked, but it's hurting.
It will reveal itself here very shortly if it's one or the other, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, though, if it's a kidney stone, now, see, I know I have a kidney stone, but it wasn't doing anything, and it was just sitting there.
Can't the doctors blast it with some ultrasonic stuff?
Yeah,
and
but
break
I have
that
some
up?
other health problems that
Okay.
they can't do it. You know,
Gotcha.
I got a little problem with my ticker that they can't blast the stone
Okay.
out, or I would probably be there already. But see, I'm not sure if I hurt my back because sometimes I twist and I turn, and I don't know. Let's see who's checking in. Hunky Joe Fecco, how you doing? Hunky Joe likes those Irish car bombs. Yeah, and see, he's even saying that a lot of people aren't really ready to go out quite yet.
Yeah.
Some people are, some people aren't. But I think it's getting safer than it was. I definitely think it's safer than it was. But no need to push it. We'll get there. I'm telling you, by 4th of July, this year, 4th of July, I think is going to have a special meaning. I think 4th of July is really going to be Independence Day, and I think we're really going to be celebrating freedom on the 4th of July this year.
Agreed.
I think by 4th of July, we'll bust out. Everybody's getting their vaccines. I see they're getting them left and right. Dennis Kreitz checking in this afternoon. How you doing, Dennis? Good to hear from you today. But we got a notice here. We're going to have to figure something else out because the watch party is going away. Another stupid change on Facebook. How they come up with these changes all the time, I don't know. But starting April 16th, watch party will no longer be available on Facebook. This means you'll no longer be able to create or view watch parties. If you'd like to download your past watch party data, please click now and do it before April 15th. Why do they have to keep messing with Facebook?
I don't know, man.
I mean, just leave it alone. How's that? You know what it is? There's some way that they're going to want to charge you with that. They probably looked at all the bands that were shut in and all the house parties that they had and the watch parties that they had. And they probably looked at it and says, oh, wait, we can't let that go on for free.
But for $99 a year.
Yeah, you can get the watch party app. Click on the watch party option or something. I'm sure it's going to be something like that. Watch and see. But yeah, so we only got another month left of the watch parties.
We'll figure something out. We'll make it good.
I mean, even we could probably even put another thing in here and just do a Facebook Live for that matter.
Yep.
And just record our stuff for YouTube and everything else. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But why do they always have to mention or mess with it? Like I always used to get a thing where you could see your friends' birthdays. Now to get your friends' birthdays, it's almost you got to go searching. And I like to wish everybody happy birthday, and now you can't even find it. It's like, what the hell? Leave it alone. Just leave Facebook alone. They're busy putting people in Facebook jail. And
hey, have you seen OnlyFans yet? Have you ever delved into that?
No.
Let me explain OnlyFans.
Okay.
So the premise is that anybody could become like a remote stripper, right? They could just go into their den, turn on the camera, and guys will pay X amount of dollars to watch you on your camera for a little while. Now the trend was they're getting a ton of attention with individuals being able to pay a subscription to do like a watching that time. So I'm waiting for Facebook to have its own version of something like that.
More than likely.
Yep.
That's where it's heading.
Yep.
Oh, I did hear about that. Members only, or is that what it's called?
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, because there was some woman at a school when the PTA got pissed.
Yes, right.
And probably half the husbands in the school were all watching it. That's probably why they
She's
got
making $100,000 stripping in her back room, and $50,000 for being a teacher.
I mean, how about that? But don't you want to go to the strip club? I mean,
are they wearing masks in strip club? I was wondering. Are they really?
They showed one somewhere, and they're doing like lap dances and stuff, and they're naked and they're wearing a mask.
See, but they should play it up and be like one of those Indian dancers that would have the mask anyway, build it into their garb.
Right. But yeah, so you could be there roaming around naked, but you better make sure you got that mask. Hey, Lori Mercer checking in. How you doing, Lori? I know Lori was down at Bike Week in Daytona. Man, I'm so bummed I didn't get to go this year. I wanted to go so bad, and I just keep all these memories of different years keep popping up, and it just, can't get enough coleslaw wrestling. Can't get enough of them half-naked, scantily clad women dancing down at Froggy's, reaching down and taking dollar bills off your face with certain body parts,
Wet
the wet
t-shirt
contest at Dirty Harry's. You missed it all, boy.
Yep.
It leaves a void in your life.
It does, too.
A big, wide void. See, we're talking like that now. We can't talk like that when the rock and roll priest gets here.
No. You got to tone it down a bit.
Maybe we'll get absolution when he gets here. Get it all in now, and then we'll get some absolution a little later. Oh, anyways, the red box.
Yes.
That's right. We have the red box here. You want me to lift the red box?
I'll bring it down to you.
Oh, there you go. Because my back right there, man. Boy, I twisted it again. I just get all right, here's the red box right here. And here's the deal with the red box. If you can successfully give me the 3-digit code, and it opens up this box, we got a pair of earbuds in there.
Yeah.
Joe's Earbuds. Tell me about the earbuds.
So they're an Apple product. They're pretty awesome. I mean, basically they're wireless headphones, AirPods. They got a charging case worth $200. These things are pretty cool. Yep.
Okay.
So if you call 330-595-1600, you'll give Freddie the 3-digit guess that you've got. He'll try to punch it into the little box over there, and if it opens, you get them sent to you. Easy as pie.
All right. Okay. So give us a call here. Oh, wait a minute here. The phone screener went off.
Let me get it for you. You got it?
The side one?
Top one.
Top one.
Top one. Yeah.
Where are we at? Oh, side one. Okay, there we go. Okay. So if you want to guess it, give us a call here. 330-595-1600. 330-595-1600. and you might win a pair of AirPods.
There's only 1,000 possibilities. You got a really good chance.
Okay. We'll be here for months before we get to see. And then what? Every week we're gonna add
Every week I'm putting something
prize?
else in there.
Oh, okay.
So it could get pretty significant.
Good. Okay.
And I'm not changing the code until somebody wins it.
Okay.
So you gotta watch every show and strike off the guesses that have been already had, and then you can whittle it down to the answer.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Who wants to be the first one? Step up. 330-595-1600. 330-595-1600. You give me a 3-digit code. If it opens the red box here, you win the AirPods.
Fred, you've been doing contests like for your whole life, right? I mean, is that like it's like a thing in radio? It's the cornerstone of radio.
Yes. A lot of fun. I can't believe all the stuff that I've given away over the years. Trips to England and just great rock flights. I mean, we've given away over the years just cool rock flights to all over the place. We gave away, like trips to LA and, front row seats and all that kind of stuff. And just the VIP treatment the whole time you're there. We gave away so much cool stuff that I wish that I could have won. Sometimes it hurts your feelings. You're like,
you didn't get to take it home.
Oh, we got to give this thing away. A rock flight to England to see AC/DC or the Who.
Or you forget to give them away and you're like, in the pocket.
Yeah, but that ain't,
well, now you know that that jeweler that's local, like if they receive so much snow on Christmas, they give all this jewelry away for free. Right. So now it's like they sell like prize or contest insurance where, the prizes can get immense and they don't have to like really give the prize away. They just give an insurance payment towards the prize.
Well, you would be surprised on how cheap some of those insurance policies are. I mean, even, I know we've done some for like a dice roll. You roll the dice, you roll 6 dice. And if you spell Harley, you win a free motorcycle, or even the $1 million dice roll. Okay, Lori, the phone number is 330-595-1600. 330-595-1600. All right, that's the number you want to call. But anyway, so yeah, you could the things that you can insure for contests are, and they're really not that expensive
not at all,
when it comes right down to it, because that just shows you what the odds are.
Right.
You could get, I forget what it was, to have 3,000 people roll the dice for $1 million. I think it was like 7 dice or something, but people will still show up because you never know. If you could just walk up to a dice table and roll 7 dice, and if it happens to be your day and you win $1 million or you win a brand new motorcycle, why wouldn't you take a shot?
Exactly.
Free. It's free. So why wouldn't you take a shot? All right, we got a caller. How do I work this phone system?
So we got 2 of them coming in. As soon as it says it's done being screened, you can tap on the talk link there and it'll put it through.
Okay.
And then so as soon as they'll announce who they are.
Okay.
2 of them queued up.
All right. Ready? Just hit talk.
Wait, as soon as it says their name on there.
Oh, okay. Auto screen?
Yep, there you go. Don's up first. Hit the talk thing next to him and that'll cue it in.
Okay. Hey, Don, what's up? How you doing, man? Uh-oh, did I hang up on Don?
Yeah, you did.
Uh-oh. Hey, Don, call back. Oh, okay. Oh, well, there's Don. I terminated his call, but he gave me his guess.
Okay, you want to try it?
Yeah, he guessed 187.
Okay, go ahead and give it a shot.
187.
Okay, and hit E. Or hit whatever that button is down there. No.
No, sorry about that, Don.
Don, good try.
Okay. Let's get another call here. Yeah, you guys could just keep calling.
Yeah.
It don't matter. Just keep calling.
And if you don't want to hang on and talk to Freddie, just leave it with the call screener and we'll see it.
Yeah, right. You can even do that. You don't have to talk to me. We don't have to put you on the air or anything.
That's not going to hurt your feelings, is it?
No. 330-595-1600. 330-595-1600. What is the 3-digit code to open this safe for a pair of Apple AirPods.
And I'll queue up the next one so you don't hang up on people.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that'd be good. All right. Here we go. And I'm not even drinking today. We just our
regular
famous
coffee.
Joe's Espresso Joe.
That's it.
So anyways, we're talking a little bit about St. Patty's Day.
Another one's coming in, so be prepared. Here comes our next one.
Oh, okay. We got another call coming in.
It's coming in, being screened right now.
All right. If you want to take a guess to see if you could open the safe here this afternoon, 330-595-1600. Oh, a quick reminder, if you're watching this later or listening to this in the
live.
archives, yeah, this is live right now. But, if you're listening to it other than earlier, okay, we got a couple of calls coming in here.
Okay, can you hear us?
Dave?
Who is this?
This is Dave.
How you doing today, Dave?
Oh, good.
Good, man. What are you up to, man?
Again.
Oh, you got a guess? All right. Lay it on me.
330.
330. Good thinking on that. No,
that's
unfortunately
not it.
330. All right, man. Thanks, Dave. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, John Patterson said, "Who's not drinking?" I should be, but we're supposed to have the rock and roll priest in today, and I wanted to be on my best behavior.
Right.
Although he was a disc jockey,
He knows.
record promoter, friends with Bobby Rydell. Do you know who Bobby Rydell is?
I don't.
You don't know who Bobby Rydell is, so you have to look it up.
All right.
He was one of them 60s singers, kind of rock and roll singer. Do you know who Fabian is?
I don't.
Frankie Avalon?
Yes, I know Frankie Avalon.
Okay, well, he's a Frankie Avalon, Bobby Rydell, Fabian, all those guys were like of the same ilk, you know. These Philadelphia Italian guys that were singers.
I got another call. I'm going to cue him
in
in.
between the doo-wop. All right, let's take another call. Let's see if somebody could crack the safe. All right, who is this?
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
You there?
Nothing much, just cooking dinner.
Who is this?
Lori Mercer.
Hey, Lori Mercer, how was Daytona?
It was good until I got the call about Kelly.
Oh, yeah, that was so sad. One of our friends passed away here this past week, suddenly, and a good friend of ours. But, yeah, I was so sorry to see that. So were all the ladies at Froggy's asking for me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, Lori. I know Lori likes to win free stuff. Lori's one of our friends that lives by the motto, if it's for free, it's for me. Times are tough. I'll take 3. All right, Lori, give me a 3-digit number and let's see if you can open the safe here.
613.
Was that
613.
613? Oh, wait a minute. It's not doing it. 613. Enter? Hey, I don't know. We're having I don't know. I think you broke the safe, Lori. 613. Yeah, for some reason. Oh, okay. Is that opening? Okay, the safe is broke.
No dice.
No dice. Okay. Sorry about that, Lori.
That's good.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Sorry about Kelly, too. Boy, that was a real shame. All right. Okay, let's move on here. We're going to have to take a look at the safe here.
I'll crack it.
Okay, yeah, Joe's going to have to crack the safe. Hey, come on over, Father Jimmy.
Is the engineer here?
Yeah, that's him right there. That's our engineer.
You want me to tear your computer, your transmitter apart? I have her first ticket. You know what that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
First
Yeah.
SFCC.
Yeah,
It's
it's good to meet you too, Father.
my friend.
Hey, thank you. Have a seat here.
Mike's not very nice, not bad.
Yeah, man, you
Guy
can.
from Ohio.
Yeah, wait, what do you mean now? Watch it here. You see how these Pennsylvania guys are?
Well, I had a buddy of mine that was Gene Worley who worked in Toledo, WoHo in Toledo. Imagine that?
Yep.
He had a voice down to his balls. Pardon me. I'm sorry. I wanted to say that because you're not on the air.
Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah.
The name is Smith, Father John Smith, Mississippi.
Yeah. I'm a Baptist minister.
I can't get this code open. Never happened before.
You know what? Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Oh, no wonder.
Uh-oh. You know what? My zipper's doing the exact same
Might
thing.
be because of this.
Oh, yeah, there you go. All right.
I wonder how I can look up.
I don't know. There you go. Almost. You're almost there. Yeah, go ahead. Grab a seat right over here on the other
Let me
side.
get this off first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, take your coat off. Stay a while.
I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, Father Jimmy's got an interesting career. He's
I should have brought my paper. Let me go. I run to the car real quick and got my story. He can look at it.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, he saw
I got
it
it.
already?
I got it printed out.
Okay,
And,
you know what the hell with it. I'm a Philly kid. We don't mess around.
yeah, there you
I'll
go.
play with it later if I can get it off.
He's a Philly guy. He probably stole that jacket off of somebody anyways. Probably not even his. Look, yeah, he dropped this gun on the floor, a knife, a pair of brass knuckles. Yeah, you got to watch these Philly guys. You know,
Looks like chicken.
you know how they are. All right, man. Yeah, grab a seat over there, Father. Good to see you here. And yeah, we got an interesting character in here. So
Oh my God, the Smith, John Smith.
yeah, John Smith. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's your mic right there.
I want to make sure I don't pop the mic out. You have a windscreen, so we're okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, we're checking this out here. We doing any tests here?
Well,
Test 10, 9, 8, 7.
Yeah, we're good.
We can do it in
here's
Russian.
your hat too. You don't forget your
We
hat.
can do it in Turkish. Veridiki uç dört beş alto. I spent 10 years in Turkey, and I was in combat in Iraq in '90 as a Catholic captain, serving our country. And the Turkish people are wonderful. Matter of fact, I want you to let me know what the streaming thing is. My buddy in Turkey wants to tune in right now because they're 7 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, it's Youngstown Studio. Where can you get it, Joe? You know, if somebody is in Turkey right
Here,
now,
just type it right
where
here.
can they find us?
That'll go right to them. It's WhatsApp.
All right. So, anyways, Father, welcome to the show. You've had a pretty interesting life, to say the least. You were a musician, a songwriter, a music promoter, a producer, a publisher, an electrician. You're a first-class radio engineer.
Amen.
You were a disc
FCC,
jockey,
yes.
and you're a Byzantine Catholic priest and an Air Force chaplain.
All of the above, correct.
So you did a little bit of everything here.
I did.
And you're originally from Hazleton, Pennsylvania.
I was born there at 2 months old. My father died, and my mom moved us to Philadelphia. So I kind of claim Philly because I lived there up through high school. And then my mom wanted to go back. She lived in a little coal mining town outside of Hazleton, zip 18201. And it was Ebervale. Must have been 50 homes at that.
Right.
We used to always get the water coming out of the mountain there, which has since ceased. So we moved up there in 59. I graduated at 60 West Hazleton. Otherwise, I would have graduated, fast Freddie. I'm slow Drucker here. Anyway, I would have graduated from Edison High School, by the way, which a friend of mine, Richard Sand, has written 8 books. He's very much in love platonically with veterans. I am one, service-connected vet. And he wrote a book on Edison High School. And the reason why it's so infamous or famous is because that in the day, when I was there, 58, 59, I would have graduated from there, except Mommy moved us upstate.
Yeah.
To her home area. 64 men went into Vietnam from there. It's the largest loss of life of Vietnam veterans of any high school in America.
Wow.
Edison High School.
Man.
8th and Lehigh, which has since been torn down about a year or two ago.
They have a monument there somewhere, I would imagine?
No,
or?
they made a little mall of it. Come on. People care about God and good things. They do. But no, they're just one little strip mall now.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when I was driving by, I didn't realize all this was happening because I was a distance away. I was overseas. I was stationed in Turkey with the Franciscan priest. And I was going to try to get a rock or a stone, like the wall in Berlin.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they had already tore it down. But somebody told me they have a couple stones. They're willing to give me a little piece. I went there 2 years, and I'll tell you, it was interesting because being just me, politically correct, all that stuff, the bottom line was blacks and whites got along famously. And I sang doo-wop in the bathrooms. I used to skip classes. And we sing doo-wops. And there was a group called the Boss Tones. If there's any way you can air some of this stuff, they're fantastic. And it went mobbity-mob, bobbity-mob, bob, mobbity-mob, mobbity-mob. And then it falls like, we just got back from outer space. Fantastic stuff. So that was the Boss Tones. And not so much after that, I started managing the Lydells, who were off to see Wizard. One time I was lonely, next time I was blue. On Master Records, which was top 50, a hit at ABC in New York. As you know, if you have a record on ABC, forget about it, 50 kilowatts up and down the East Coast. And so I managed them, and I took 2 of the white boys, Paul Olone, O''Lone, who was the bass. Now, a white bass, usually traditionally it's black bass, because you can't beat a black bass singer. Forget about it. The monotones. Come on, Blue Moon, come on, right, fantastic stuff. And I took two of them and I had him sing the bass. And I took two of the black fellas and the Bosstones. We went at nighttime undercover to Chancellor Records, Avalon, Fabian, etc., 9th and Vine Streets. And Russell Faith was the head of A&R. That's called Artist and Repertoire. He's the one that says, I like the record, I like the master, I'll buy it, I'll take it, let's release it. So we went that night, undercover at night, with a group that I booked at Jolly Joyce Theatrical Booking Agency, Philadelphia, New York, and Frankfurt, Germany. And we cut with the background group that was my group that I booked, Sal Massey and the Untouchables. They had the rhythm section in the background, and we cut Stormy Weather. It bombed, unfortunately. It was sold. The master was sold to Atlantic. And it started getting some airplay, and unfortunately, they I don't want to use some words here. They cut me out of my production rights.
Okay.
There were three people involved: Jerry Blavitt, the guitar with the heater; Russell Faith; and Buzzy Curtis, whom I work with, who did all of the packaging of records, hit records, oldies of all the radio stations like WOR, KHJ.
Right. So, like back in the day, they'd be like a greatest hits collection.
Absolutely.
But then they would stamp their logo and have the DJ's pictures on the back and that sort of thing.
What they would do is the jocks, they promote it. For example, we had a record up at Warm, which was 5,000 watts powerhouse. We had 75% of the audience, the largest audience of any station in the day in America, per se, as the pie share. And we did an album there. And what happens, we get excited because my picture's on there, you know.
Yeah.
Pete Gabriel, I work with Pete. Pete worked with me.
Right, for many years. You know, he was a mainstay here in Youngstown until he retired.
And Pete's home now, retired. He's a veteran, disabled vet. God bless him and Sandy. And she's from outside of Milton, Pennsylvania. But anyway, so I'm losing a little track here. I just turned 79. I'm pretty much on the mark, but I'm getting off track here. So you lead me in.
Okay, no. Well, first of all, for your age, your voice sounds fantastic. You still got a great set of pipes here. You know, you sound fantastic. Oh, okay. So now you're down there. Now you were like right in the, you know, Philly was like the heart of the doo-wop scene, and you were right there in the middle of this when all this stuff was going
61,
down.
62. I mean, Avalon, I have dinner with Bobby Rydell every month, except for this virus stuff.
Yeah.
Bobby's a wonderful man. He just got a kidney and a liver transplant. The week after he got it, I was with him at Dante and Luigi. South Philly has Italian Row restaurants. Tres Scalise. Ralph's is the oldest family Italian restaurant in America. It used to be San Francisco, but it's now Ralph's. And we were at Dante and Luigi's. And we were having dinner. And he said, Father, thanks for your prayers. I just got a kidney and a liver. He couldn't go around the world because they love him around the world. He's very famous, you know, from doo-wop.
Right.
And Australia's a big place. They love him there, but he couldn't go because if he was there and the kidney came, he's done, you know?
Yeah.
And then the doctors told him, and he told me this at that time, this is 4 or 5 years ago, they told me if it would have been another week later, he said I would have died.
Wow.
So I hang with a group called, I call ourselves, I'm an honorary Italian. I love Italians. I think they're phenomenal, wonderful people, passion-filled, and they're pretty much the bulk of the music industry. Records, Jewish and Italian pretty much run the record industry.
Now, you were talking about Bobby Rydell. Now, our producer, our engineer, Joe, I don't know, he's in the back, you know, doing some stuff, but he didn't know, you know, he's a little younger. And I said,
of course.
You don't know Bobby Rydell?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, back in the day, you had Bobby Rydell, Frankie Avalon, Fabian, all those guys.
You had Dee Dee Sharp, Chubby Checker. You know, you had on the Cameo Parkway owned by Bernie Lowe. And then I was very close friends with a fellow named Bernie Binnick, and he was the owner of Swan Records. And one day I go into the studios there, actually his office is Swan Records, and he said, Mary Ann, give Jimmy, that's when I was Jimmy, said, give me Jimmy the box of that records. I just bought the master. And what that means is, in other words, he bought the rights to release something on his record label. So he bought the rights to this song called She Loves You. Sold 4 million records. He says, Marianne, he didn't know it. He just bought it. He said, give Jimmy a box of those Bug records, the Bug Group, whatever. 4 million records. And the same year they had VJ, you know, Please Me from Me to You. Swan Records. They were on Capitol. I saw her standing there. I Want to Hold Your Hand. Monster Hits. Great group. Well, today you talk to the young people fast, Freddie. I'm going slow here, am I? Anyway.
No, you're going fine.
You can take notes. I'll ask questions later.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. I didn't know there was going to be a quiz, but I'll be prepared.
I didn't know we were on TV also. We have cameras going here also?
Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, you're
That's
looking
wonderful.
good.
God, I look like I'm getting older here, fast, Freddie. But anyway, did he send that information? Good. Okay. Yeah. Because I have friends over in Turkey that wanted to listen. And right now they're 7 hours ahead. So 7 would be 22, almost 23, 11 o'clock, coming up at 11 o'clock. So Duran, Nasli, and Rennie, I love you all. And I love all you priests out there, the Franciscans from Istanbul, Smyrna, which is where St. John was from and died there. His body is there. Mary's house is the Selçuk on the outskirts. I had mass there many times. And just a wonderful country, and I love it very much. I always tell everybody, half of my heart, we say kelp is in Turkish. Benim kelp, yadım, which means half American, bada boom, Turkish. American Turkish. So I just love them very much. They're very wonderful people. But back to the record.
So now you got these Beatles records that these guys have boxes of.
Right. Well, he gave me GJ copies, white label. And what that means for you in the audience is that in the day they probably do it today, but it's nothing like in our day, because I know you're close to my age, you're younger, but the record companies would send advanced copies, and it either would say DJ or there'd be whole, or most of the times, 90 out of 100% times, they would have a white label. And that was mint. That was prestige. If you had a white copy of any great record, I had the Chanel's, The Closer You Are, The Closer You Look, whatever. And I ended up having it stolen from me some years ago. But I white labels, and I have probably about 20,000 records at home.
Wow.
I've become close to Jeff Burke recently.
Yeah, Jeff just checked in.
Yeah,
Jeff, I got to get some pictures to him when the Foo Fighters played over at his place. That was a really big deal. National act, Foo Fighters played there, and that was a big deal. And I got to get him some pictures. But he's got a good show.
We're reversing that. I never heard of them.
Yeah, I know. Joe, our producer, knows who the Foo Fighters are.
They're current stuff, and I was doing a column for Cashbox magazine for a while and was part owner about 5 years ago, and then that fizzled out on their half, not my part. I was doing a weekly, bi-monthly, like twice a month, The Spirit of Rock and Roll.
You would write about old groups or records
my God,
that
all
came
my
out,
past history, you know what I mean? I kept records with some of the greatest groups in America. And I had a group called Wayne and Merlin. When I'm rocking at WSCR, was the #2 rocker in Scranton. Warm was #1. I was not at Warm yet. It was at SCR. We had what we call Rocky Glen Park WSCR Day. Everything was free. So everybody was feted, F-E-T-E apostrophe S, feted.
Yeah.
In case you don't know how to spell it. Anyway, and this group comes in, the Golden Toadstools. And they're on Shelby Singleton, Triple S label. So they're performing, and they backed up. We had different artists come in. You know, some from Philly and so forth, some famous, some moderate famous.
Right.
And they backed up. At the time, it didn't mean that much to me, Mark James. Does that ring a bell?
No.
Suspicious Minds?
Oh, okay.
He wrote it. Elvis Presley.
Right.
So at the time, it was just the Golden Toadstool. So one day they come into the studio the next night or that night, and they said, we have some songs. And of course, disc jockeys get hit with this all the time. Yeah, we're great, we're good, blah, blah, blah.
Best record ever is the next Elvis. And
exactly. So they gave me this quarter-inch reel, because usually when you master, it's 2-inch master tape, and now it's all digital. But they gave me this tape, and I said, I'll let you know tomorrow. I listened to it. It was fantastic. And Wayne had a Gibson classic white that was like $5,000 or $10,000. He came from a wealthy family of florists, Wayne Branham, Branham in Columbia, South Carolina. Merlin was in Louisiana. He had a rich, deep, profundo, white basso sound. He almost sounded black. He was great.
Yeah.
So I took the tapes, And I did walk the streets of New York because I used to cut at Pure Southern Studios. Well, Lucky Luciano was the head of it. Luciano.
Well, the mob was kind of in that music business there
Pure
for a
Southern.
while, weren't they?
Jimmy Einer used to work there. Later had the raspberries or the strawberries or some berries. He used to be the gopher. You know, go for this, go for that.
Right.
But anyway, I'm straying off here for a second. So bring me back here.
Okay, so you're hitting the streets of New York.
Oh, yeah. So I take the master. I go to Decca. I go to Bang Records, Eileen Burns. I said, Jeff just told me, by the way, Jeff, God bless you. Great man, wonderful man. Buy your records at Record Connection. Buy many of them, by the way. But now I'm going off straight because I gave a plug.
That's all right.
So you hit the, well, he just shared
Maybe he'll
with
give
me.
you a free album next time you're there.
Oh, well, he's been very kind to me in many ways. And he's been a friend, which is the most important thing. And he's a music friend and just a friend. Decent, wonderful man. But so I went to Bang Records. Eileen Bernie, the owner, had already died, Bert Burns. So I knew Eileen. I went to Musicor, Gene Pitney. I went to, nobody took it. And finally I went to RCA. I was stunned. They accepted my master. And the fellow that became the head of A&R, Artists and Repertoire, for RCA Records was Ernie Altschuler. And Ernie had just left Columbia, having produced every major hit of Tony Bennett, including I Left My Heart in San Francisco, so he was a sharp dude.
Wow.
So eventually they accepted the master. Ted Darrell, who was married to one of the Angels, Jigs, one of the original Angels, My Boyfriend's Back.
Yeah.
Their little girl Buttons is now singing with him. This is 30, 40 years ahead. So he accepts my master, and Ted becomes my staff producer. Ted wrote She Cried for Jay and Americans. That was their first hit. And then he wrote for Reparata and the Delrons Tommy. He wrote that one. We became dear friends. And he was producing the group. And we had a song come out, which unfortunately didn't hit. And I give half my publishing, Drucker Music BMI, to Dunbar Music, which was owned by RCA. So I'm still half owner with all these songs that Wayne and Merlin wrote. Some great stuff. And we had one single, which was She's Gotta Be Me. And I can't think of I'm forgetting a little bit. I'm getting older. Usually I'm sharp on these things. But anyway, we had two songs. We had an album promised. They gave me $2,500 front money, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, back in that day.
A lot of money. And unfortunately, they reneged. They didn't release an album. And they didn't promote it. I remember Augie Bloom, a Jewish fellow, was the head of promotion. Nice man. And that's why I have 20,000 records, because I was a record promotion. And then I'd visit him. He'd say, take what you want, Jimmy. He said, yeah, I wasn't a priest then. I'd take John Denver. And I met John Denver one day. I'm standing there waiting for Ted to come in. And this young man's, there were hair flopping all over and then jeans. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm Jim Drucker. I manage Wayne and Merlin. We have a contract. Oh, wonderful. He said, well, I'm John Denver. He said, are you? I said, I'm also a disc jockey at Warm Radio, #1 powerhouse in Northeast of PA. He said, oh. He said, well, can I give you an acetate? An acetate is a record when you cut the master on the tapes, then you would then literally lathe a record. And that's how precious this is, that acetate.
Right.
So he gave me an acetate of Leaving on a Jet Plane, which he wrote for Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm sorry for is that I never got his phone numbers and kept in contact.
Yeah. Now, back in the day, it's really not like that anymore. But back in the day, you could actually you could walk the streets of New York City and go to these labels and knock on the door, and somebody would talk to you.
The Brill Building, 1619 Broadway, 1650 Broadway, Carole King, Jerry Goffin, Cynthia Weil, Barry Mann, who put the bomb, et cetera, all there. You just walked in, opened the door or knocked on the door or rang a bell, you'd walk in. Each was like little offices in this big, gigantic building. All hit songwriters, all hit record companies, Musicor, as I said, Gene Pitney, the Bang Records. I can't remember half them, Scepter Records. Because eventually I would then go on to have the publishing rights at the same time Wayne and Merlin were signed with RCA. Wayne wrote a song called It Feels Good. Beautiful song. I'm a love, and it feels good. And a little, almost sounded like 59th Street Bridge song.
Right.
You know, feeling groovy.
Yeah.
You know, everybody called it that, but it was really 59th Street, Harper's Bazaar. So it had that little dittiness to it. And so one day, C. Michael Wright, who, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
Oh, no, that's what you're here for.
Michael
they don't
Wright.
want to hear me talk. They'd rather hear you talk.
No, I doubt that, I'm sure. Anyway, C. Michael Wright Michael White, Michael White, was the producer of a group called The Boys. So one day he's in Scranton, having met with Bill Kelly and the fellas, who are all Scranton boys. Of course, Warm is Scranton, WAM, WSCR, the two stations I work, number 2 rocker, number 1 rocker.
Right.
So he comes in and he has a record these days. So I go into the production studio, aside from the main master control room, and I play it. I said, boy, it's good. He said, would you play it? I said, absolutely. Because like you say, in those days, you didn't have strict tight playlists. Right. So I put the sucker on. I played it 6 times, like the Joey Reynolds thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I just played it. And he thanked me. Well, the next day I got into trouble with the PD. Vince Albert said, Drucker, you don't play a record 6 times without my permission. But anyway, he liked me. So Michael came back one day and said, Jim, and I said to him, you know what, I have a master tape. It's only 1/4 inch, but it's decent, of a group that I'm going to start managing. He said, let me hear it. He said, they're phenomenal. Matter of fact, Wayne was so good with his Gibson guitar that when we got to RCA, usually Hugh McCracken, who was one of the great studio musicians in New York City, recorded probably Presley, every one of them. Ted said, I'd like to have Wayne play guitar in the session, and I want Merlin, who was the drummer. So anyway, flashing back now to Michael White. So he says, I like this, it feels good. We're going to use it as the B/W back waxing of Timothy.
Right.
Timothy became number 13 Cashbox, number 15 Billboard. At the time, there was Record World. I think it was top 10. And of course, in my opinion, no offense to Billboard, the working sheet book for music directors, which I was, PD, program director, music director, disc jockey, was Cashbox. You couldn't beat them.
Yeah.
And they had little columns of all the DJs. It was just wonderful. So they had picked it to click, and it went on to become number 13, sold 1 million records. So I had a 1 million selling hit record, Drucker Publishing.
Yeah, and that was a cool song, too. Timothy, the boys, it's about they get caught in a mine, and they end up eating Timothy. Everybody comes out but Timothy. That was a crazy song for the time.
It was actually about, so the audience would know, those of us who are a little older, was actually about the Stockton, Pennsylvania mine disaster. There were 3 men that went down into a mine. It became national TV and radio, and it was just outside. Matter of fact, I ended up being a priest in one of the parishes there, ironically. And 2 of them came out alive, 1 didn't. Henry Throne and Lou Bova, the third fella, it didn't come out alive. So they wrote this song called Timothy, and it was written by Rupert Holmes.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Rupert Holmes wrote it. His real name, I'm trying to think. Oh, God, I know his name. But well, we'll go on. When you start talking, I'll think about it. Julian Gill is his real name. He's from England. I think England or Australia. And the fellow that published him was Stan Herman. Boy, this is all coming back, flashbacks. Wonderful, man. He had 2+ Music or something, which was the Timothy song. Mine was the flip side. But Rupert Holmes wrote, he later would go on to have Pina Colada. Right. He would have him, who's it going to be? And he wrote the Broadway play Mystery of Edwin Drood. He actually scored a Broadway play. But that was the Scepter days. And when that record came out, it bombed. You don't know this. It bombed. Joey Reynolds played it and reinvented it, resurged it at WKBW. Don't touch, shut, twist the organ at KB Blister at WKBW. Joey Reynolds, hi. Anyway, great good friend of mine, Joey Pinto. Joey Reynolds went on to fame at WOR, WDRC, OR in New York City. But he played it. It started becoming a hit, and then I called Stanley Greenberg, who was the son of Florence, who discovered with Luther Adler the Shirelles. That was their beginning claim to fame, and then she went on to great history. B.J. Thomas, D.I. Warwick, Burt Bacharach, David L. David.
So you're right in this whole mix here with all this stuff going on, and with these people, and these people are coming out, they're brand new, they're just getting signed, you're taking records here and there. That's pretty wild.
But he gave me, I would call him, and at the time, you got to remember now, I'm a famous disc jockey, reasonably secondary, powerhouse secondary market. We call Maine, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, WLS, WCFL, and then Philadelphia, WIBG, Peter Jackson, et cetera, et cetera. But they were the days when the radio stations were a powerhouse. And so I had this Timothy. It came out, and I called Stanley. I said, look, Stan, send me boxes of 25. So then out of my own pocket, I called WSAI in 50,000 watts in Cincinnati. Brian McIntyre, can you imagine that, for 79 was the PD? He ended up in Philly at a big march, WMGK FM, where I'm at now, by the way. I'm streaming, by the way, on OutsideFM.com. Every Saturday morning, do it. Father Jim Drucker, Philadelphia's doo-wop priest. OUTSIDEFM.com. So we'll get a little plug in for T. Morgan.
Yeah, there we go.
And T was the one that brought in classic rock to WMMR. That's when everything was AM, and MMR was just starting, powerhouse station.
That's still a legendary station. Those are legendary call letters. As a matter of fact, I think the one guy there, I'm trying to think of his name. He just renewed his contract, and he's been there for like 40 years. I can't even think of it off the top of my head.
It's not John McBride, is it?
No.
Okay. Well, T works weekends now because he's already getting older, and he started this OutsideFM.com, and he's really a wonderful man, a Catholic boy from Baltimore originally, worked at Grafton Market, WICK, Joe Dobbs own, and then he eventually went to Philly when he was in college. He has a couple degrees like me. I have 4 degrees, 2 masters, a baccalaureate, and associate. Plugging my own life here.
That's all right.
And he went on to have some degrees, I think, at LaSalle College. And he told me in the day when he was at MMR, this is powerhouse, 50,000 watts ERP, effective radio power, FM. And FM usually is not as good as AM, amplitude modulation, first class ticket, because AM bounces off the ionosphere, comes back, and you get that strength. FM is line of sight. Now, if you're in a big major market, no, forget about it. You're a powerhouse because you're WMMR in Philadelphia. You got 4 million audience. If you're in Youngstown with a decent audience, and you're FM. But in the day, the AMs were the powerhouses.
Oh, yeah.
And they broke the records without question. They broke the records. Matter of fact, many times I tell groups, you should be thankful to disc jockeys for where you're at.
Well, people don't realize that back in the day, like you say, somebody could bring in a record, and if you like it, you could throw it on the turntable right there.
Absolutely.
You could throw it right on, and that's how some hits would. That's how popularity would generate. To say, hey, this guy Larry Drucker over there in Scranton, he's all over this. It's #1. Next thing you know, somebody else jumps on it. Somebody else jumps on it, and boom, man, it's.
Well, that's what happened with the Timothy. Before that, Michael Wright comes in the back door of the studios. We used to leave it open in those days. We do it today.
Right, yeah.
He came in. I said, hi, hello. Gives me the record. Put it on the turntable. Played it 6 times just for effect as that local group from Scranton, Wilkes-Barre.
Right.
But you couldn't do that now. Matter of fact, a buddy of mine, Charlie Berger, I call him Hamburger. He's a wonderful young man. He was a WYNS, and he had a voice down to his toes.
Right.
We say other things on radio, but anyway, he had a deep, profundo voice. And Jim Ward, who owned part owner of WBAX, after I left Warm, WARM 5,000 watts, where Pete and I worked together, Pete Gabriel, we then went to WBAX, and I became program director. And it's there where I found my journey to priesthood, by the way, because I made a little pact with God. I said, look, I'm a decent boy. I was a really, really decent, good, clean-cut kid, all my life. My mother raised me well. And I said, Lord, I'm struggling with this idea. I was thinking of marrying. That didn't work out. I said, if you let me be successful here at BAC as program director, I'll see a new life, a new journey, instead of just being a disc jockey. And I said, otherwise, maybe I should consider priesthood. That'll lead us to this area. So anyway, Jim comes to me about 3 months later, and he said, Jim, you're a great disc jockey. I want you on the air. Keep doing 10 to 2. I was doing housewife. We call housewife shift. Yeah. But he said, I think I'm going to get a new PD because it's not working out. I said, you know what, Jim? I'm leaving. No offense. I love you. You're a fine Episcopalian. I tell everybody I couldn't be that. I can't spell it. Right. For Christ's sake, how can I be Episcopalian? God bless you, Episcopalians. Amen. But anyway, he tells me that. He said, that's fine. And when I told him what it was about, and then when I started studies in Pittsburgh, I actually went and worked their weekends at WSCR with Tommy Rice on WSCR, another boy from Baltimore. Jimmy was local. He was Buckskin Jim back in the day. He's since passed on. Tommy, I don't know if he's still living. And so I went to BAX. It didn't work out. So here I started searching. I figured I had a little money saved up, not a lot, because you don't make a lot of money unless you're a big market like New York, so forth, maybe. Matter of fact, Herb Oscar Anderson back in the day in 1970 was a good friend of mine, HOA. Great, wonderful man. He was making, I think at the time, $1 million a year in 1970.
Well,
that was unheard of. But he was the morning mayor of New York.
Oh, yeah.
So then I started struggling, and I saw an ad in a newspaper or somewhere, or a Catholic journal, National Catholic Register, whatever, about this group, Society of St. Paul. and their specialty is broadcasting and TV. And the Sisters of St. Paul, they write all these articles. Society of St. Paul, SSP. There's another Pauline group called the Paulists out of New York to do a lot of radio, and they do 30-second, 60-second vignettes, public service vignettes,
right,
which we used to air at Warm Radio. So I get in my car and I drive. I'm now no longer DJ functioning. You know, I'm still a DJ in my heart. I still am now. And so I drive up to West Seneca, Buffalo, New York, and I interview with the head priest, who was the rector, and he was so old-fashioned, Fast Freddie. He was so, and here I'm a hip disc jockey. I'm conservative, but man, I'm rocking it or rolling.
Yeah, man, I mean, here you are, and you're playing in bands, you're singing doo-wop, you're roaming around New York City with these record people, and you got it going on, and now you come to like this, one of these. So what year are we talking about here? Like 1970?
It would be 70. No, 71, because I left Warm Radio in 71.
71. So you still had some of these old priests that were like the old school.
Well, here's what he tells me. He says to me, not to interrupt you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
He says to me, you're taking notes? Anyway, he says to me, Father, they're all from Italy. They're Americans, of course, but the Italian ones were the ones that were the head of the order.
Right.
And the headquarters is the Korea in Rome and the Vatican, where I've been, by the way. And he says to me, no cough button here. He says to me, well, you'll have to bind books. I said, look, Father, I'm a rock and roll disc jockey. I love God. I've been close to our Lord all my life, and I feel this calling. I'm not sure. I'm looking to investigate it. He said, well, no, you will have to bind. I have to take the books and bind them. I said, wow. So then I go to Staten Island. Brother Ed Donaher, wonderful young man. At the time, we were all young. I think I went there first and then to the seminary, and I meet him. And that's where they actually bound the books. There was a famous priest called it was a cute name, like the hip priest or something. He wrote a book. He since left priesthood, ironically. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm there. I spent a week there, and they drink wine every day, these Italians, during lunch and even dinner. It was wonderful. And then I went to West Seneca, Buffalo, and then I migrated another week. I did all this to explore what God wants me to do. And I went to Canfield, Ohio.
Okay.
Canfield, Ohio. My God, that's this neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And I'm going there to spend a week there with many priests there. And Brother Dominic is a good friend of mine. They air a show that I did. I did 9 shows, TV shows for the Scranton Diocese called The Catholic Church Unity Within Diversity. And they air it every year during Lent. I never knew this till he told me this last year. And usually when I come here, I stay at the monastery. So anyway, I go there, I spend a week. And there was a Father Felix. He was so gentle and wonderful. He alone, I would have joined the order.
Yeah.
But somehow I thought it wasn't for me. And by the way, when I'm coming in, this sounds crazy. Every disc jockey has that they carry with them. What would they carry? An air check.
Right. A
scoped air check.
Yep.
And I never did an air check that I said, I'm going to put on hey, this is Father Jim Drucker, like a syrupy and rock, because you want to be cute and funny and clever, and you're anything but that. You sound stupid. So I'd always have a buddy of mine, Tony DeSanto in Pittston. Tony, throw the tape on any day this week. One of my shows says tape it. So he taped the show ad hoc, so to speak. It was good, really good. Yeah. And I'm driving through, so I hear this channel at 570. I said, this has to be 5 kilowatts. And 5 kilowatts of 570 would be kinda the same at 50,000 at 1,600, because you're pushing out 1,600 kilohertz cycles, where here you're pushing 575. So it's kind of almost equal. So that's a power.
Oh, yeah.
KBN,
even during the day, you could sometimes pick up KBN, Toledo, Detroit. I mean, that signal
anyway,
gets
I hear
out.
the signal. Right. I'm going, I said, whoa. And so all of a sudden, my disc jockeys, fluids are flying.
Yeah.
And
so much about these priests.
I'm going to spend a week with the priests, and the brothers. So I stop in, believe it or not. I said, where the heck? So we didn't have GPS in those days, but somehow I got the address, stopped at a gas station, so I went over, and I met Don Guthrie, who at that time, this is 1971, was program director at WKBN AM. I don't even know if FMs were then or just coming into vogue.
Yeah.
And he says, you have an air check? I said, yeah. So I give him, what the heck, is God working something here as well? Maybe he wants me here. So then I go to the monastery. I'm there for 3-4 days, and I get a call from Don Guthrie. And he said, Jim, I said, yes. He said, this is Don Guthrie. I was, yeah. He's from KBN. He said, yeah, you're hired. I said, what? He said, you're twice what I was making at Warren. Twice. I said, Don, get behind me, Satan. Get behind me. When Jesus was in the boat and Peter said, no, you should be doing this and that to Jesus. He said, get behind me. So he I don't know if I said it that way. I said, you can't do this to me, please. So I turned it down.
Yeah.
Now, you ready for this? A year later, who comes into town but the disc jockey I work with at WARM, Pete Gabriel, and he takes the job. Isn't that ironic that I turned down?
And then he went on to become the program director and ran the station until he retired. Isn't that crazy?
I understand that he did the March 17th. I'm very close with Pete and Sandy. The St. Patty's Day, he was always the Grand Marshal and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful man. And,
he
a
got
brother
the parade going. That was his baby.
But isn't that ironic?
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
I turned it down. And then eventually I went into studies for priesthood in Pittsburgh at St. Cyril Methodius Byzantine Catholic Seminary.
God was definitely testing you, though, because when you said, hey, I don't know if I want to do this, then the program director job dries up, and then you come here, and then he says, all right, well, we're going to give you one more little test here. You're hired for twice what you were making there at a huge station.
I'll tell you, it was because it's a power. It would be equal to what Warren was back in northeastern PA. Because matter of fact, Philly would always send the records to us. I'm talking like new Beatles record. And one of my program director, George Gilbert, who was also Peace Boss, he left WIBG, which was number one in Philadelphia, fourth market, until FAL came and beat the pants off of them. And some of the jocks are still living. But he left and migrated upstate with Susquehanna Broadcasting. In those days, it was a 21 rule, 7 a.m., 7 FM, and 7 TV, not in the same market.
Yep.
So he became program director of WARM, and that's how I met him. And he was double G for again, he was one of those that had his voice down to his toe tips.
Right.
And so Pete and I worked both for him. By the way, going back to Charlie Berger real quickly, Charlie, when I was at WBAX, Charlie works for WYNS where I started, and I would always stop in. One of your former stations, just kind of showing off, flashing. Right. I'm at a big 5,000 watter, and just meeting people and loving them. Yeah. And here's this fella. I said, "My God, he's good." So Jim says to me, "I'm looking for a morning man at Weenie." That was one of the Merv Griffin chain stations in Endicott, Binghamton, New York, a decent market, WENE. So I said, "I got just a fella for you." I started Charlie. In his radio fame, he went on to New York City. He's now at CBS FM. Yeah. And he went on to WL. He had a very strong kind of a black kind of voice, really deep, profondo. He worked for WBLS, the black station in New York City. People don't realize how the radio business was back in the day, and because you had so many different owners, and that you could go to this place or you could go to that place, and every station was trying to make their mark. Nowadays, if the same company owns 6 stations in the same city, they're trying not to promote against those stations. They go out of their way where, those 6 stations that they owned, if they were all independently owned, they would all be going after each other's throats. So instead of everybody having the one country, the one this, the one that. I mean, these guys, you might have 6 rock stations, and everybody's trying their best and trying to come up with the best songs and trying to come up with the best contests and trying to come up with the best talent and find some sort of angle to beat the other guy. It was so competitive. Always promotions. We had a promotion. Jack Palance was from my hometown. He was on my show. And if you check out Jack Palance, Jim Drucker, you'll see me in Billboard magazine. I was very progressive there with the Cashbox Record World and Billboard.
Well, you're from that area. He was Ukrainian, right? Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good. Yes, Ukrainian boy. Polensky, something like that.
Right.
Great actor, and he came up to do my show.
From that area right there, but you were right in the heart of it all. That's where a lot of folks, came from, and that's where they, first place they hit the coal mines was right in that area.
Well, let's flash ahead or back, or wherever I'm at here. I was a priest, Catholic priest. I was I was here at St. Michael's in Hermitage, Byzantine Catholic Church, for 2 years, and St. Michael's in Newton Falls, 44444.
Yep.
And
covered
I
the
always
break.
got a chuckle out of that.
Right.
And John Casarda was there, had a heart attack and some strokes, so I went over to help him. And when I was there, I was eventually, we say PCS in military talk, permanent change to station. They sent me from, I was a VA priest. I started in my VA career at Cleveland and Brecksville. Then they sent me down, so I left St. Michael's, sent me down to Chillicothe. I lived at Holy Family Parish in West Broad Street. It was a black parish. Father Kevin Lutz, wonderful man, very good friend and a wonderful Catholic priest. And I would drive 60 miles straight down. And one day I got friendly with a bunch of friends down there. Clinton Ison was one, a guitar player, and another fella. We used to meet at Dunkin' Donuts. And one day, because I would drive 60 miles back and forth just to go to work at the VA in Chillicothe. So one day I'm reading the newspaper, and I read about this fella that owns I'm not sure if it was a shoe factory or a furniture store, and he's bemoaning, B-E-M-O-A-N-I-N-G, bemoaning. I'm saying it so you understand it, hear it, and because you may not be hearing it exactly as I mean it.
Yeah.
And I opened up this newspaper, the Chillicothe Gazette, whatever, and I'm stunned. Now, keep in mind, I'm a first class ticket. We say FCC, Federal Communications Commission, first class radio telephone license. That's top notch.
Yeah.
And I have it then. I'm looking, I opened this up, I opened the paper. I said, "You're kidding me. Clear Channel? 2,200 stations?" And this man says he has a local mom and pop AM station, and they're starving him and killing him. I never knew the 21 rule was out the window.
Oh, yeah.
And it was during Reagan's time. I love Reagan, but I think it was during his time.
Well, no, actually, it was 1996. Bill Clinton, the Telecommunications Act of,
I would have figured that.
of 1996, they pushed it through. It was supposed to be a bill that was going to lower your cable bill, and it was going to lower your cable bill, and it was going to clean up the airwaves. But what it really did was let these big corporations own as many stations as they want, and then a lot of them went out and bought every single station, and that's
Marshall
why
McLuhan tells us. I studied sociology. I have a degree in sociology, one of them, associate degree, 2 years from University of Scranton. He says the medium is the massage, the medium is the message. Now, how in God's earth? Don't forgive me for putting it that way. How can one company not have a monopoly when they own 2,000 radio stations in America? I couldn't believe it. And this poor man in this newspaper article, I was stunned because I was a priest. I wasn't a DJ anymore. I was flabbergasted that they could get away with that.
Yep.
They could control the news. They could control almost anything they wanted to control.
Oh, exactly. Same with music. You know, if you're not on their playlist, you're out.
Well, my buddy Charlie Berger works for iHeart. That's another big one, right?
Yeah, that's what Clear Channel became iHeart.
Oh, is that what it became?
Yeah,
Okay. What do I know? Poo. Come on, you kidding me?
But it's crazy. Now, you know what though? But you were in radio at that time when it was really magical. Talk a little bit about that on like when the AM radio, what it meant to the community, what it meant to the kids. You were bringing this new sounds every day, and it was just like, what was that like?
If anybody ever goes on to Google and you Google WARM, that means nothing to you here because you're Ohioans, but we had there's people writing a litany. This young man David Yonke, who has a fond love for radio. He was a DJ a short time in his life. He's somewhat sickly, God bless him, and he has this column, Dave Yonke, and he has all these. Has My Chart, is Jim Drucker and WARM, Pete Gabriel. I think I sent some of that stuff to you already.
Right.
You may want to put that on the air sometime, maybe. And so we would have school closings. We would have, when the weather was turning bad, and this young person who's now 60 or whatever said, I couldn't wait to hear if I'm going to stay at home. and the station was so powerful. The news thing, they would have this, as you would call, and the top of the news, and we're blah, blah, all this stuff, So it was phenomenal. And then when you're in radio, you know every market. For example, right now, I'm being considered for possibly Boston. I can't say much more than that. But anyway, when you're in the business, you're a Scranton, you're looking for New York, the number one, Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia, et cetera, SAI, 50,000 watts in Cincinnati, Columbus, WCOL, I almost got hired there. I had to turn it down because my mom was sickly. So, but the radio was part of the community, a wholesome part. That it would give weather reports. It would we sent out men and women in the field, and we were just beginning with to have women then broadcasters into the field with our warm trucks and our warm, like I'm sure KBN has that. I guess I'm sure.
Yeah, they had rolling radio.
And they and then we had people would call them with news tips. They got $50, and someday I'll send you an air check if you want. If you could run it, maybe sometime that'd be wonderful. You hear what I'm talking about, which with the news. So it was really part of the community. And they were not only selling time, but they were selling an image of community and the radio announcer. And the radio announcer was, for example, Terry McNulty. I never liked his style. He was a good man, good disc jockey, Irishman. But he would he would talk about the mayor of the city of Scranton. And he would open up a can of pineapples. And you'd have the sound effect. Yeah. And the can would open. He said, now now I'm going to have some pineapple. And he would do this whole thing. And the mayor loved it. And the people loved it too. And Warm had 75%. That's unheard of. It was the #1 station in America for the marketing pie share, 75%. It'd be like ABC in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a record on there, for example, if I had one of my records, Timothy on there, which they refused to play, by the way, because the element of potential cannibalism.
Right.
We never know that's what was actually what happened, of course. Yeah. But they wouldn't play it. But if you had your record on there in one day, Fast Freddie, one day, on Dan Ingram's show, or Herb Oscar Anderson, Morning Mayor, or even Night or even All Night, it would sell 20,000 records in one day, guaranteed.
Isn't that amazing?
And the life-selling span of that record, I'm talking just say my song, Timothy and my It Feels Good. If I had them play it, it would have been 20,000 that day. At the get-go, maybe a day or two, but say that. And within the playing span of 10, depending how long it stays #1 or whatever it is on their charts, and it was, unfortunately, it wasn't on there, it would then sell a minimal of 200,000 records. That's almost 1/4 of the way to a million seller and almost platinum. It's incredible. That's the power of radio. And it was wonderful because it was personality. Like I'm talking to you out there. My God, it's great to be on the air again with this wonderful, I love this microphone. I want to eat it up. And it's so good out there. You are wonderful. God bless you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. And the Byzantine Rite, I have a Band-Aid on this finger for the doctor, Dr. Malvasi. Wonderful man, Philip Malvasi. Been taking care of me. I was sick a little bit lately. ICXC, Jesus Christos. So I don't bless you, the priest doesn't. Jesus Christ through his priesthood. Radio, AM, powerhouses, FM. I could have bought an FM station for $2,000. I turned it down in 1970.
Some of the, even here in Youngstown, some of the powerhouse FM stations now were let go because the guys that had the AM stations were like,
just let them go.
Yeah.
And they would simulcast. In other words, what was on here would be on the FM. Yeah. They don't have any special programming, pay anybody. But I almost bought a station. It's now #1, upstate Pennsylvania. Magic, WMGC, I think, or something like that. I almost bought it. What can I tell you? If I had, maybe I'd still be a disc jockey.
Yeah, but the magic of radio, you know what? It still can exist too, because it's all about people, relating to people, and being a part of your community, and being at all the different events. And I'm sure you hosted all kind of crazy events through your career.
Absolutely, we did a lot of. What do we call them? Remotes.
Yeah.
So you go to the furniture store, and that's how people got to meet you. We'd give out slogans. I still have some of the stickers of WARM. I still have our top 40 sheets and so forth. And I have our album. I'm on the album with Tony Murphy, who was from Australia. He ended up going to NEW, New York City, #1 powerhouse, easy listening station. Pete Gabriel, George Gilbert, and Joey Shaver, who did 7 to midnight. I did all nights, the Night Flight show. Jim Drucker on the Mighty 590, WARM Wilkes-Barre, Scranton's #1 station on Night Flight as we rock on with Fast Freddie. I think he's kind of slow, personally.
Yeah, people don't realize the glory days of radio and what it was really about, and that's
Personality.
why I love talking to guys like you that were there right at the beginning too. When all this stuff, it was really like wide open frontier as far as the music was going, as far as what the playlists were going, and it was just so great, and that little AM radio was like the heartbeat of the community. It was the heartbeat, getting back to you're talking about, the weather reports and stuff. One of the big things they used to do here in Youngstown too was even the school lunch menus. You would not get moving in the morning until you turned on the radio, and it was either Boots Bell or Johnny K on WHOT 1330, and you would sit there and listen and decide whether or not you were going to buy lunch that day.
It would be like a big brother, big sister, Again, if you went on to Google Warm and you see some of the people, there must be 100 people, maybe more. I had a little litany of this. I couldn't start my day off without putting Warm on. It was that powerful, and it was part of magic, part of life, and every announcer was a little different. I was a little different, Joey. There was a fellow, Len Wallace, that did mornings. He was the morning mayor of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. He was great. He had a chair like I'm sitting in now. Yeah. And we could either stand, and in those days you could stand or sit. Yeah. I usually stood, and I'd sit once in a while. And you had two turntables, you're cueing them, you're producing them, so you smack it right when the singer begins. But he had piles of comedy records behind him on a chair, and he would be like here, this chair would be back there, and he'd do some comedy and grab it, put that sucker on it, and he would have little tidbits of vignettes and incredible stuff. Magic radio, it's gone. It stinks. I have another word. I don't want to use it on the air. It stinks. It begins with an S.
But it's crazy too, because all that stuff was actually happening. You were starting every record, every commercial you were starting, you were hitting the mic and running the controls well, making sure that you timed the songs out right and everything. It was all live and it was all happening, and you had to be focused and you had to be on the ball and thinking of what to say, and you had all this stuff going on, and people don't realize that what was happening there 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day, you were in there, and so
you weren't just playing a record. You were you, and people loved you for being you. And as a matter of fact, I have a young man, Nelson Carvalho, he was in University of Scranton. I ended up getting 2 degrees from there later, but he used to come and used to be groupies hanging at the station. You could do those things in those days. Yeah. And he said, I never forgot the time you took and went to the microphone, and I had a mustache then. Often I do not have, I couldn't stand it. It's the heck out of me. But for a short while I had a mustache. Yeah. And I would rub it. If like give me a piece of paper. And I say, could you tell me what that sound is? I'll give you Foundations LP. Baby, now that I found you, and Build Me Up Buttercup on Uni Records. And he said he couldn't remember the magic of that it was my mustache. Like, you have a mustache if you rubbed it against the thing. And no one ever guessed it, by the way.
Yeah. But all that crazy stuff, man, it was just so much fun. It was a blast. And then too, with the music all being brand new, and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Motown, and it just kept coming, and you were the connection, and you were bringing it to these people. And then if you knew these stars,
and then I was in promotion before that, record promotion in Philadelphia, fourth largest market, a record producer, cut it Chancellor Records. I cut a Sigma Sound, which used to be Reco Art. I cut records in New York City at Bell Sound. I had records on Decca, Scepter Records, by Timothy. I had another group on RCA, a group that I love dearly. God bless them, a blessed memory. But going back to SCR for a while, I'm there 1 year, a little less than a year. I get a call. This is, my God, it's this history and magic. I get a call because I was in record promotion, so people knew me. When they send a box of records to SCR, I get a box of records sent to me at home. I mean, I was that tight with the promo, man. I'm talking promo DJs, many of them. And I get a call from Russ Reagan. You may not know that because it's before even your time, because I'm a little older, just a little. But anyway, he calls me. He said, Jim, do you have an air check? Because I knew him from promotion. He was record promotion for Uni. He had just become president of Uni Records. I said, yeah, I do. He said, send it to me. I sent him my air check. I was cooking then. Oh, was I good? 7 at midnight, rock jock, teeny bopper. I was great. And the air check was honest. It was good. It was me. He said, you're hired at KRLA Los Angeles. I'm in radio 2 years.
Oh, man.
Guess what happened? Next thing you know, the next day, he said, get ready to come. Who was the great disc jockey? I know the Italian Stallion from CFL. I know it's Joey.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his name now. Anyway, you believe I'm trying to reach him now. I can't believe I can't remember his name. It's not a lapse because I'm older. It's just a lapse. But I think, I'm almost sure. I know Dennis Stefano, the Buckingham's lead singer, good friend of mine. I'll tell you a story about that in a minute if you remind me. But I'm asking him to get his phone number. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he ended up, he was at CFL and WLS. He used to be a KBW.
Oh, Dick Biondi.
Dick Biondi, that's him.
He used to work in Youngstown. That's where he got his start, right here at WHOT.
Were you ready for this?
Yeah.
I get a call from Russ.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm sorry, Jim. I hate to tell you this. 2 years in radio. I was that good.
Yeah.
I should anyway, you heard it.
Yeah.
He says, somebody from Chicago had just sent a tape in. And the PD has accepted that simply because of Chicago.
Yeah.
But he said he liked you. He's going to keep an eye on you. And it was probably, I can't swear to it. I'm trying to reach Dick. He's very sick now, I heard. But I think it was Dick Biondi, the Italian Stallion.
Yeah.
Where did he work here in Youngstown?
Probably 59, 60, 61.
But what station?
WHOT.
No kidding. So I was warm and he was hot.
Yeah. That's why you got the job. You had to crank up the heat
he was higher than me. He was hotter than me. I was only warm, lukewarm.
Right.
That was another slogan we had. Is it hot enough for you? It's only warm for me. And Jack Palance did many of them. But I can almost swear, and I'm trying to have Dennis Stefano get me his phone number because it's tight. If you knew who I was, I think he'd give it to me immediately. And I know he'd love to talk with me as you are, and your audience are hearing some of my background. But I think I'm almost sure it was that same year, 68, 69, before I went to Warren, before I went to WAVZ, it's Jack Mitchell.
Yeah.
And across the street was Dan Ingram at W1HC. The #1 disc jockey that's ever lived for rock and roll, in my opinion, and many rock jocks will tell you that, major market jocks.
Right.
But anyway, I think he took the job. And maybe that was God's path. Each day's a journey, Freddie, Fast Freddie, and each day's a blessing. Even with our problems, our worries, our woes, our concerns, to get a little religious, God is within us. And even right now, I always tell people, what you're hearing, especially if you're not seeing, is my soul. Like you, Freddie. What your voice is, your soul. This is just an entrapment of body that God gave us to take care of, to help us each day to eventually return to him in the kingdom. But I believe that so much, and I believe that when we're talking, it's really our inner being, our soul, our spirit. So you're listening to the spirit of rock and roll with Father Jim Drucker, rocking on here.
Absolutely, the spirit of radio right here this afternoon. Now, tell us a little bit about your military career.
Okay, well, I was in the Army during Vietnam, infantry. I put my hat on for this one. During 64 to 70, it was infantry. It was engineers for a short while. I went to a basic training and advanced training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Ironic, where Wayne was from. Remember I told you that his father was a famous florist, a lot of money, played guitar in our sessions, New York City. And by the way, the day before, Elvis Presley had cut in the same Studio B at RC when we were cutting our record. It's incredible stuff. I mean, talk about living this stuff. Met Ed Ames, met John Denver. But anyway, so I spent 6 years on that. And actually, I went to Massachusetts. I worked in the shipyards. I built nuclear submarines after I got out of active duty. My brother was an executive with Electric Boat, General Dynamics, and they were just building or taking over the plant. General Steel was selling it to Electric Boat, General Dynamics, AFL-CIO, worked for them. I was a union man and all. And I ran cables on a nuclear submarine for 2 years. Years later, they became the USS Sunfish and Whale, and I'm active duty as a captain, chaplain, priest before the war broke out in Iraq. And I'm on a week or 2 weeks vacation meeting a military Navy friend of mine, a commander, which is a lieutenant colonel, Army, Air Force, and Marines, Silver Cluster. And so let me get back here now. I'm talking here fast and I'm enjoying it here.
Yeah. So now you're getting back to your military career then.
Yeah, no, that I remember. I'm trying to get onto a story here with no, that's right. Yeah. So then I worked at Electric Boat, and at the time I was doing some reserve time, And then years later, that's when I started having all this struggle with the priesthood. Should I become? I was dating some beautiful girls, Jennifer from Hampton.
I thought you were going to say from WKRP in Cincinnati.
Oh, wow, that's a big station. Good station. KRP, is that an AM or
that's
FM?
a TV show. Remember Dr. Johnny Fever?
Yeah. Lonnie Anderson, right? No.
Yeah, her name was Jennifer.
I'll tell you, she was another Lonnie Anderson. She was beautiful. Jennifer. Her name was Pamela, but she hated Pamela. I wanted to call Jennifer. But anyway, I'm straying off here. So then eventually I ended up, when I was a priest, I was ordained in 78. I spent a year in Passaic, New Jersey, at our cathedral parish where the bishop is. Then they sent me, PCS, moved me to Massachusetts. Before that, I was in Trenton for 6 months to a year as a preliminary training as a new priest, a new 36-year-old priest, blade of vocation. So then I went to Massachusetts, St. Michael's in South Hadley. Not Falls, but South Hadley, and down the road was Holyoke, was the famous colleges for girls, was a Protestant group of ministers, and some famous people like Eleanor Grasso of Connecticut, was the governor of Connecticut, went to school there, training school for women, primarily for women. Thank God, women and men, let it be as it is. But anyway, so I was there, and I met a priest, Father Pete Lochran, who was the dean, that's the head priest of an area, a deanery. The bishop will say, Father Freddie, will you take the Youngstown deanery? Father Drucker, will you take the Warren deanery? And blah, 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 blah. And you divvy up the parishes, 5, 5, 5, 5. And then the dean's responsible to go and check the parishes once a year, and then he gives a report. Yeah. And then the bishop eventually will go to each parish, which is not easy if he has hundreds of parishes. But anyway, while I was there, I met Pete. He was in the Air National Guard. So we were working on a 60th anniversary of the parish. The priest before me had done a good job preparing it. I ended up completely completing it with the anniversary and having renovations done, new iconostasis, icon screen, etc., new paintings, new Yusuf. I can't think of his first name. He was a great iconographer from New York City, an Orthodox fellow. So while I was there, Pete's telling me he's in, I think it was Barnstable. He was in the Air Guard. So he said, they have an opening at Westover in the Air Force Reserve. I said, oh. I said, I'm former military, infantry, Army, 6 years. He said, we said, when your bishop comes in, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll put a bug in his ear. So Pete, being the local representative of the bishop, came to the 60th Mass, 60th anniversary Mass, and he came to the dinner, and he's put in the ear. So finally I said to the bishop, he said, yeah, sure, why not? So I go on the reserve as a lieutenant. It was supposed to be a captain, but something about ROPA, R-O-P-A, reserve off something or another. You usually go first lieutenant or captain because you have a master's degree, just like doctors. We go as usually a captain doctors because they're even a little more needy. Yeah. Although in the chaplaincy, the priests are really needed because there's only so many priests, and they're in parishes in the states, Right. They're working for their bishops and for their people. So finally he said, okay, so I went. I joined. I was commissioned. Ron Coper was senior master sergeant, and he commissioned me, got me signed in to Father Manning over at, what's the big base outside of Boston? I know it, but anyway, I'll come back to it in a minute. He swore me in. So I was in the reserve for about 3 or 4 years there while I was pastor of St. Michael's. Then I moved PCS to Philly, back to my home area, worked out of there. And I became member of, I went from the 289 to the 913th. It was a wing, we call it. Yeah. It was Massachusetts, Philly, and Pittsburgh. Matter of fact, I think Vienna here has something to do with our wing, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I've stayed there.
Hey, you know what? We're almost out of time here. So to make a long story short, so how do you end up in Desert Storm?
Okay, well, anyway, so I became a captain, ended up going active duty. I was reserved for 7 years, went active duty in 87 to 88. I went active duty 87 to 92. 87 to 89, I was at Little Rock Air Force Base, the main flying base for C-130 training pilots around free world. Everybody around the world would come there. They had simulators, millions of dollars simulate. And then from there, they PCS me, moved me to Turkey. While I was there, it was okay, but a year after I got there, the war broke out. So I ended up becoming part of the Iraqi Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and then eventually after that all ended, it went to Operation Provide Comfort to help the Kurds, many of whom were not only Muslims, were former Christians, Catholic, Chaldean rite, and the priest can marry in that rite, even till this day.
Yeah.
So then I ended up in the zone of combat operations while I was there.
Now, so what was the difference of you being a chaplain in these kind of circumstances as opposed to being just like a parish priest?
Completely. Well, first of all, war and combat is what it is. I mean, most don't want to talk about it. And the second thing is that when you're in the military, you're respected somewhat. It's its own like family, like radio. It's a family. Right. So when you have your Catholics on your base or fort, if it's Army, they're special to you. Not that your people in the parish aren't. And you usually have a much larger congregation. When I was at Little Rock, I had 2,000 Catholics. It was fantastic. I mean, I loved it. Yeah. I was rocking and rolling as a priest. My background in radio, preaching.
Yeah.
And then with this Iraqi stuff, matter of fact, a cute little story, I don't know how tight we are on time. We actually had to go from the base chapel at Incirlik Air Base to the theater to have masses. Because we had all these Army come over with Patriot missiles. We had some Scuds come at us that were protecting us. The Army came in, set up the Patriot missiles to protect us, the air-to-air, whatever, land-to-air. And so we went there. So one day I'm at Mass, and I'm dynamic. I'm like I am, rocking and rolling. And I have a famous saying, where are you from? I always ask someone, where you're from. So I'd always have, if anyone's new, would you please stand up and tell me where you are? Chris Murphy from Connecticut. I've been trying to reach him for 20 years or more. The congressman sent me a beautiful card with his name. He said, I enjoyed your mass. It was a knockout, blah, 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 blah. I still have the card. I'm trying to reach him to say hi. But one day, this mass, at a Sunday mass, a colonel stands, a full bird. That's one step from a general. I said, sir, where are you from? He said, I'm from Dias. Now, innocently, I said, sir, you're from a great base where they fly those great C-130s. Because there were 3 training bases for C-130. Little Rock, Pope, not the Pope, North Carolina, and Dias, Texas. Yeah. So he said, Father, I fly at F-16. So I didn't miss a beat. I said, sir, that's not a bad plane either. The congregation broke up. And he said, I want to see you at the O Club tonight, the officers club. So I don't want to buy a drink. I said, sir, I look forward to it. He said, make sure you wear your hat. Because if you take it off, because if you go in the officers club, you wear your hat. Everybody in the officers club, you have to buy a drink for. So you have to immediately take your hat off. That's probably why I've been taking my hat off so much.
There we go. Well, look, Father, it's time to wrap things up. I hope you had a good time here. I enjoyed talking to you, and I always love sharing these old stories about the glory days of radio, and and I think you just had an interesting journey. You did a little bit of everything there.
The only thing I like to say is that a good buddy of mine I started with in radio, WYNS, Bill Deasing, went on to become Bud Williams and Bradley J. Cool, WKNR in Manchester, New Hampshire. Terry Wood worked with us. We have a picture on Facebook. Terry's now Chuck Martin. KHJ, some major markets, and Bill just passed away, so I'm going to ask God's blessings on him through these radio waves. And as you know, you may not know this, but the radio waves never die. They're infinite.
They just keep on going.
They keep on bouncing.
Yep. You know what else, too? We should probably let everybody know. I know you're friends with our good buddy, Dr. Rock. And, Ron Leader, Dr. Rock, and he's not been doing very well. And he's has some terrible health problems right now. And we just want to send some prayers out for Dr. Rock.
I was with him a few years ago. I had just met him at a car. I was with Danny Polifer, our local commissioner, wonderful man, good friend of mine. And we had dinner at some restaurant, and there was this car thing, which he likes the classic cars. And I met him, and we became friends. So finally, one day, I went to visit him at his home, and he was still hanging in there, so sickly. He said, Father, they just did a write-up on me. I said, do you have it? He said, I don't have it. So I called the editor. Danny gave me her name. I called her, and she gave me 3 tear sheets. I had it laminated, and the note that she sent me, Jimmy, Father Jimmy, this is for me and enjoy it. She sent me, so I had it laminated to Staples and gave it to him as a gift.
Yeah, so keep him in our prayers too.
May God bless
All right,
him.
well, listen, Father, thanks for stopping by. Great conversation, interesting life. And where could they listen to you? Where can people listen to you?
I'm on Saturday mornings. I've been somewhat sick the last couple of months, so they've been covering me by doing music for me. But I'm on OutsideFM.com, OUTSIDEFM.com. It's streaming out of Philadelphia. It's affiliated with WMGK, where T. Morgan, again, my dear friend and the owner of this OutsideFM.com. So Saturday morning, 6 to 8. I may be going longer hours later, but right now with the health issues and that and getting older, the 2 hours are fine. And it's the spirit of rock and roll. Father Jim Drucker, Philadelphia's doo-wop priest at OutsideFM.com. Be a family member for $5 a month. I love you, Freddie.
All right,
and God bless the audience, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Father. Thanks for stopping by.
I love you. God bless.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content, and we would appreciate you sharing the videos and the word about us. Thank you.